Welcome back. We're glad you're still with us here on Morning at NTV. We are now going into our Kickstarter segment, and for those that are just joining us, welcome on board. We're coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Conference Center, and I am Chris Higenyi. Just a preamble before I introduce my guest, who will be helping us understand the history and the perspective, especially with regard to Uganda's Heroes Day, 9th June. Every day, or every 9th of June, every year, government marks Heroes Day in commemoration of the first NRMA heroes to be executed at Kikandwa, Luero, by the Uganda National Liberation Army in 1981. A few months after the NRA rebel leader, now President Museveni, launched a war against Milton Obote's government. It is thought that about 15 people were brutally killed on this day, including NRA rebels and their collaborators. Greater Luero was the epicenter of the 5-year guerrilla war between 1981 and 1986 that ushered in the Museveni government in 1986. But opposition politicians slammed the government for neglecting the area for at least 37 years since power. No doubt that today's commemorations and indeed celebrations will be centered in Luero. Joining me for this discussion is the Deputy RDC. We've previously known him as Deputy RDC Mukono, but I do understand that there's been a bit of a relocation to Jinja. He'll be giving us the details on that. Very warm welcome, Henry Kitambula.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here this morning.
Yes. When you came in,
yes,
I knew you were the Deputy RDC Mukono.
I was transferred to Jinja. I'm now the Deputy RCC.
RCC Jinja.
Jinja.
I didn't hear of this transfer of RDC as well.
In charge of a division, a very important division called the Southern Division, the one that takes the main town of Jinja. Yes, at times the transfers are internal. You know, the president can appoint, but the minister and her or his team have the mandate to transfer an RDC, an RCC to any district. So once the president appoints you, he has appointed you. He has allocated you a district on the first appointment. But
he has also made you available for duties
in any other district. And the transfers are always because of a number of issues. You know, with the government, when you perform very well, they can transfer you to correct somewhere. When you perform very poorly, they can transfer you or they can drop you. So I'm happy that I'm now in Jinja City, and Jinja City is a good city. We have a number of things moving on right now. Our focus is on the parish development model. We want to ensure that our people get this money, and we are working along the clock to ensure that our beneficiaries get the money. As I speak now, Jinja City, the whole of the city has 26 wards. That makes 26 PDM circles. And each of these circles at least has 57 million. So we wanted this 57 to go to the beneficiaries so that they can benefit from it.
Okay.
But don't fear to always invite me, because Jinja is not very far. Jinja is not very far.
All right.
In fact, the only farthest area is between Mukono and Kampala because of the jam. But
the traffic jam.
But the other area, 30-40 minutes, you're already in Mukono. So I will always be available whenever you invite me.
Thank you very much. This year's celebrations or events marking National Heroes Day will be in Luero, which is the epicenter of the guerrilla war that ushered in President Museveni and the National Resistance Army at the time, which was later morphed into the Uganda People's Defense Forces as part of the initiative to ensure that it is more encompassing than just on the NRA or the establishment that launched the war. First, give us a brief history of the events that led to consideration of this particular day.
Well, maybe before that, I want to, in a special way, send my prayers to the President of the Republic of Uganda, who is my boss. You know, he was tested positive for COVID-19, and I've seen a Daily Monitor here making a funny headline that where did Museveni drop his COVID guards or COVID guard. I don't know whether I haven't read everything.
No, what the Daily Monitor does today is to look at the interactions the President has had over the last 1 month and trying to understand that perhaps because COVID is mostly transmitted because of proximity to somebody who already has it, maybe, and this just maybe, one of the people that he came into contact with could have affected this.
The President made it clear. He said he had somewhere abandoned the masks because of the effects it had on him, and I think that's how he got this COVID-19. I've also been informed that at some functions, some people were not being tested. They could only come with their vaccination cards. I think that was a gap that we need to avoid. Whoever goes to a function, whoever goes to the President, must be tested, not simply coming with the vaccination card, because a vaccination card is not a guarantee that you don't have COVID-19. But it's also a warning that COVID-19 much as not a global threat, but I think it's still around, so we need to continue giving ourselves the distances, washing hands, where possible putting on a mask, because it is still within us, only that it is not as strong as before. So we really sympathize with the President, and we pray for his quick recovery. Now, on the issue of the history of this day emanates, I think, from 1981 June 9th.
Mr. Kitambula, the history of this day is a story that ought to be told in extensive nature. I do now reliably believe that our very own reporter, Jackson Onyango, is on the ground in Luero, where the celebrations will be held, or, well, underway in a few minutes' time. Let's now go to Jackson Onyango, who is standing by live for us. A very good morning, Jackson.
Good morning, Chris Higenyi and Ugandans watching NTV. I'm coming to you live from Luero Town Council in Luero District. And right here, this is Kasala Catholic Parish, and I'm just at the entrance to the grounds where the security personnel have been checking Ugandans who are going to be part of today's celebrations here in Luero District, or Luero Town Council in Luero District. Of course, today the guest of honor here at the Heroes Day, 34th Heroes Day celebration is expected to be the Right Honorable Robin Anabanja, the Prime Minister of Uganda. This is because President a few days ago indicated that he had tested positive for COVID-19 and therefore is under isolation. The first time he's taking leave in about 53 years. So he is not going to be part of this. And it is not the first time Prime Minister Robin Anabanja is officiating such event. It will be remembered that in 2022, she also officiated the Heroes Day. By then, the President was in eastern Uganda, where in Karamoja specifically, and Sebei, where he was addressing issues to do with the insecurity in that part of the country. So Robin Anabanja will be here. She will officiate this event, where at least 51 medals will be awarded to distinguished Ugandans who have contributed to the development of the country. We are aware that when the Heroes Day celebrations started, it was about awarding those people who had participated in the liberation of the country from the 1981 to 1986 war that brought the NRM government into power. And then specifically the 9th of this month is remembered because of Eldad Lutamaguzi, who was murdered by people who have been said to have been the forces of the then President Milton Obote. This is because he was thought to be a collaborator with the NRM, or the NRA at that time, the rebel group, and that's why the government forces took action on him, and several people were murdered in such a manner. Yesterday we were at Kalasa in a sub-county here in Luero, where, of course, a catechist, that is Timothy Sembiro, was also murdered with 4 other members of the church at St. Peter's Church in Matulvika sub-county. So that is the kind of the situation that was here in Luero, the epicenter of the NRA war between 1981 and 1986. That is a crucial moment as to why we are celebrating today's heroes. But like I've said, several things have since changed. Many veterans have been awarded, and therefore it has been thought wise that other Ugandans who are contributing to development, whether scientifically, in the field of engineering, and many aspects, we have even seen journalists being awarded. So that is the kind of the celebrations we are going to have here. We have seen a number of people arriving here, of course from within Luero, but others are coming from as far as Kampala. That includes the dignitaries, members of parliament, ministers, who are going to take part in today's celebrations. The theme for this year's Heroes Day celebrations it has been carefully crafted to indicate that the fruits of the sacrifices of the heroes of Ugandans are now starting to be realized. So we shall be, of course, listening from many people who will be here about the message they have. But some of the concerns that we noted in Luero, there are people who are still a little unhappy. They feel that the government has not matched the contribution that they made, the sacrifices they made in ensuring that they harbored the rebels then. In terms of infrastructure, of course, one of the roads we used was a little bit impassable, and some of them feel that other than the common good in terms of infrastructure development, whether in terms of electricity, roads and schools, they feel that they should personally directly be rewarded by the government, whether in terms of establishing structures for them, in terms of housing facilities or monetary value. But of course, we had there the third deputy prime minister, Rukia Nakadama, who indicated that government aims at ensuring that all people are rewarded, but because of the limited resources, they are unable to do that. However, with the time, this will be addressed. She noted that challenges like COVID-19, landslides, climate change, government has to deal with all these issues. And not only Luero can benefit, but also other parts of the country contributed in one way or the other. So each of these is being addressed one at a time. So that's what we are having here in Luero. Of course, we shall be telecasting this event live, and the viewer, will be able to catch us and follow each and everything that is happening here.
Thank you very much, Jackson Onyango, coming to us live there from Kasala in Luero Town Council, where commemorations and celebrations for National Heroes Day today are at. Like Onyango said, the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Robina Nabbanja, will be the guest of honor, and she will be representing the President of the Republic of Uganda. We shall be getting perspective on the modalities of transfer of power from the sitting president to any other delegated officer of the executive, and how that is done. One of our very eminent reporters is working on that story, and you will be able to understand that for now, Right Honorable Robina Nabbanja is the head of state. Acting, of course. Now let me return to the studio and of course continue the discussion about the origin of, or rather the history, I must be very specific, of Heroes Day. How does Heroes Day come to be what it is, 9th June? Mr. Henry Kitambula, yes. There is a lot of history to this day. The contestations by any other persons, including those within the opposition, can be shelved for another day. But we shall be going into that very shortly. I want to help the audience understand the dynamics at play today. The fact that Right Honorable Robina Nabbanja will be speaking to us as acting president. I don't know the dynamics of the executives and how it works. Is she acting? Is she a prime minister that has been asked by the president to represent him?
Right now, Bonabanja is not acting president.
Okay.
All right, Honorable Bonabanja is the Prime Minister of Uganda, delegated by the President to carry on the activities the President had for the 2 days, and the President was clear. For the 2 days, yesterday and today. And today includes presiding over as the guest of honor for the Heroes Day function in Luero. And when you read the Constitution very clearly, I think Article 99, the President is the chief executive, and the President can carry out all the functions of the President either directly or through by delegation, and the Constitution says through any officer, I want to quote exactly, through any officer subordinate to the President. So at times people look at protocol issues. Protocol issues may come in, but when the President is using an officer to carry out his duties, he may not look at the protocol issues. He only looks at who is available for this mission. For this particular. You see, yes. Personally, when I was the deputy RCC Jinja, the President delegated me to go and represent him at a burial of, by then, I think it was the chairperson of NRA Machindi, the late Serwamba. So I went with his message, written message, with the condolence. At that point you were delegated. So I was delegated, and there were people there who were high rank, more higher than me, in ranks. Yeah. When I was in Namayingo, the President did the same when they were inaugurating the district card. So he had to delegate me. So the President can delegate you. He has that power. So there is no, we shouldn't have those questions whether...
No, it's not a case of questions. What happens offers an opportunity for audiences, especially those that might not be in the know, to understand the workings of government. When does a president relinquish or excuse himself from the workings of government in order to either, for example, as we have it right now, recuperate, or go on leave? When that happens, when do we have an acting president? Is that something you can educate us on?
Normally when the president is moving out of the country, he leaves the country in the hands of the vice president.
Yes.
When the president, for example, dies, the constitution is very clear. When the president is incapacitated, he cannot perform his duties, the vice president takes over. But in this situation, the president is not incapacitated. The president is just in self-isolation. By the way, his health is not worrying at all. He's just in self-isolation in regard to the SOPs of COVID, because once you get COVID, you have to isolate yourself, say that you don't spread it to the people. So the president can still perform his functions, especially those ones that do not require him to go into the public to mix up with the people. He can always do that. And as I speak now, he's doing the work at Nakasero State House.
Thank you very much. I think there is sufficient clarity on the status of the presidency and, of course, the situation there at State House. The vaccines that people got for COVID ensure that you do not get the severe version of the disease. It does not mean you cannot present without COVID.
Very important.
You can still present with COVID, but because you are vaccinated, you do not
affect you so much.
Experience the severe aspects of the disease. So for those that could be worried that the president has COVID, no, don't be worried. He simply tested positive. Okay, let's return to the gist of the discussion.
Yes.
National Heroes Day. Give us the brief that explains to us the circumstances under which Edidad Lutamaguzi was killed alongside
other around 14.
Yeah, other 14 people on this day in 1981.
You know, this day, when the president had just launched the war. I mean, they had just begun the war, and the UNLA forces wanted, actually were trying, because they also swift, they wanted to find out where these rebels were, led by the president. And these rebels, including the president, had hidden within the premises of Mr. Yes, Muchivi. And Muchivi, Lutamaguzi, did a very brave thing. He and others refused to disclose the whereabouts of the rebels. Had they disclosed the whereabouts of the rebels, I think the revolution wouldn't have taken place. It would have ended there, because they would have killed everybody, including the leader of the rebels, who is the president right now. Now, when we took over power, we did not immediately look at this day as very important. But of course, many players, including those who were in the bush, said, why don't we really have a day on which we can remember such very important people, those 15 and others who contributed a lot to the liberation struggle. And it was that deliberation and a lot of consultations that in 2001 the Parliament of Uganda enacted a law making this day, 9th June, as a public holiday and a day to remember and commemorate all those who sacrificed their lives for purposes of the success of the liberation struggle. So that's why up to date we are having this as a day that we commemorate and a public holiday for that matter. Of course, I've been following what your people were getting as views from the Wananchi, especially from Luero. Yesterday I was watching your news, and I saw a correspondent who was interacting with the community. That's right. And of course, they have a lot that they still need from us. They think maybe we have not moved at the speed they wish to. But what is important to understand is that this liberation, the liberation struggle, ushered in all what we see. Even the mere fact that we can say we need a road, we need a school, here we are lacking this. That one is itself shows that the liberation struggle was actually a success, and if people were liberated, they can even demand service delivery from government. So to me, it is okay. I saw somebody, in fact, I want the government to take that seriously. Somebody from those interviewed yesterday made a statement that when we have the functions, the national functions, wherever we have them, because we always take them to different districts, they are not confined in one district. The person said we should always create a desk. A week within that period, we create a desk such that people of that district, people of that area, can give us their challenges, what they need government to do for them. I picked that, and I think our team should actually look for that person, because he had a very valid point, and I think we need to see how we can create a desk. Whenever we go there, we come up when we are actually conversant with all the challenges of the people in that area. It can also assist us in planning, because when we are planning, we must plan in accordance with what the people need. We shouldn't think for them. Okay. So such interactions should continue, because we pick something from them, and they can constitute our action point as a government. So NTV, bravo for that, because personally I picked it and I liked it.
Oh, thank you very much. It's always an honor to be able to do exactly that. Now, with regard to the founding principle of Heroes Day, over the years there has been contestations on who we regard to as the hero, because as time went on, there was need to begin to look at heroism, especially with Uganda's history, away from confining it to the National Resistance Army and how it came to be the rebel outfit that it got to be. And that has always brought about a few questions here and there on who is supposed to be a hero, how they are constituted into the, the makings of a hero. What do you see as the fundamental connection where you do not look at the day much, or rather more, as one that looks at NRA or NRM to Uganda as a whole, where we celebrate the heroes of the country, even those that contributed before this particular day in 1981. There must be a blueprint that was undertaken, including the rolling out of medals, which we see on a daily, every time there's a national event. But there are still questions on what exactly should this day be. Should it be a National Heroes Day, or, like many people out there will see it, it is an NRM Heroes Day?
No, it's a National Heroes Day. The law talks about the National Heroes Day.
Yes, we know the law.
Yes.
And the efforts.
And we have worked as per the law. I want to give you an example. There is a girl who died while saving colleagues. That girl, I think, was called Namaganda from Buddo.
Yvonne Namaganda.
Yes.
Yeah.
That girl was declared a hero because of what she did. There was a doctor who died while treating people. I think it was Ebola.
Dr. Lokuya?
Yes, Ebola, you see, and many others, So it's no longer an NRM heroes. I mean, NRA heroes. It is the national heroes. So whoever contributes immensely to the development of the country, whoever saves a life, whoever does something unique that others cannot really do for the benefit of others, that person deserves to be really declared a hero. Even yourself, when you make immense contribution, one day, one time, they may declare you as a hero, and by the people will demand that you become a hero. People will demand that you become you become a hero, like they demanded for Namaganda. They demanded that girl should be declared a hero. Yes, so this day is very important, and I don't want people to use the lenses to only look at the 15 people or maybe the soldiers who died while struggling to liberate the country. They should use the lenses to look at whoever has contributed a lot to the development of the country. If somebody begins here a health center or a hospital, somebody builds a hospital, puts in money, a hospital is not for profit, really that person is saving life. If a person employs, for example, a lot of people, somebody is employing 500 people, for sure that person has contributed greatly. So I think we shouldn't look at NRA per se. We should look at the National Heroes Day, and we are still identifying heroes. And why do we at times identify more heroes? So because we want to encourage others also to come and do what the other people did. Namaganda would have moved out, but she preferred to save lives.
Many public servants today, many people in positions of power,
politicians, and even the
executives,
and even civil society,
and even in civil society, make decisions based on what they know to be their reality. In other words, this is not going to affect me. This is not going to affect my son. So I can as well sign off. Whoever will be affected out there, they are not my relatives. But the next day, your son gets on a bus and the school is taking them to see Seppi Falls. But because you're the minister or you are an official who chose not to use all the money for that road, your son is in the bus and there is a, God forbid, you have effectively killed him. Do you think we need a fundamental shift in the way we conduct ourselves as people who have power to make decisions on behalf of others?
Not only people who have to make power, who have powers to make decisions, but even those who have powers to implement.
That is right.
In fact, you have rightly put it. And your statement makes me think. In fact, it's a awakening statement. A wake up. You're awakening all of us up, because I always wonder, why don't we have many heroes from the civil society? Why don't we have many heroes from the technocrats?
Technocrats.
Why don't we have many heroes from the politicians? When you go to all these areas, every constituency has a member of parliament. Every district has a chairperson and a council, having all the councillors elected from various areas of the district. Why do we have poor service delivery in the district? It's because of what you are saying. The chairman thinks because he has an LG vehicle, he can take a sick person to Kampala from maybe Namayingo very fast, or to Jinja.
That is right.
So he doesn't look at the health center 4, the health center 3 in his or her area. He thinks that one is for those very, very poor people. But as you said, assuming the chairperson is in Kampala for a workshop, he has come with a vehicle, the LG. And a mother or a wife or a child gets a problem, a medical problem, health problem. What happens?
Do they wait for the LG
Do they
vehicle
wait
from
for the
Kampala?
LG vehicle? But remember,
no.
remember, you wanted to have the LG vehicle for your transport, and your health facility or your district has an ambulance. So for you think the LG vehicle is your transport means including the ambulance. So you're in Kampala, your own gets a problem. So I think we need to look at these statements you have made here. And I think, as you said, we need a serious shift. Everybody should use this Heroes Day to look at himself, evaluate yourself. Are you doing something for the community? Are you doing something for your constituency? Are you doing something for your district? Do you look at because these roads people are complaining about, they are roads meant to be constructed by the central government through UNLA. They are roads meant to be constructed by the local government, the district and the sub-county. And the central government sends the money under the road fund. Are you using this money for the right cause, or you are using this money to enrich yourselves as leaders in that district? If you are doing that, then you haven't learned anything from the heroes we are commemorating today and celebrating today. If you are a civil society organization, you have money from donors. You said you are going to implement A, B, C, D. You are making fake accountabilities when there is nothing on the going on, as the NGO abbreviation, on the ground. Are you really doing some good work? In fact, as we are going for the break.
Interesting. You're saying NGO.
Nothing going on. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. You said when we are going for the commercial break.
Yeah.
There is a statement you made. When we look at the current situation, what kind of heroes shall we have in the future?
Yeah.
If a minister who takes Mabati meant for the vulnerable Karamojongs, if a minister or an officer of government who channels relief items to your people in the constituency because you want votes, or to your relatives, instead of channeling the relief items to the people meant to receive them, are you really a good person? Is that patriotism? Shall we celebrate you because of that? In fact, the fundamental question we should ask the Ugandans viewing now, what will you be remembered for when you leave this earth?
Okay.
Shall we remember you for sacrificing part of your resources to set up a health facility, part of your resources to pay fees for the younger people, say that we can have 50 doctors, 5 engineers, and so because of your resources? Or we shall remember you as somebody who stole everything and enriched yourself for yourselves? I think that is very important.
That's very important
for whoever is viewing. And to the younger people, when you do something good, you will always be remembered for the good thing you have done. And that's what people call legacy. Legacy. You must leave a legacy. You may not be declared a hero by government.
That is right.
But your area will look at you as a hero. Let me tell you, there was a time, I don't know whether you remember the Mabira saga. The Mabira saga, the demonstrations during the Mabira. Yes, when the government had to give up on the Mabira issue.
I was very...
Now, where my parents are, I don't always want to say this, but let me say it for purposes of driving this point. I'm a born of Mukono in Chimenyi de Sabo County, in Chiwafu parish. Now, after government abandoning Mabira, one institution wanted to give part of the land where my parent had others to the one who wanted Mabira, Meta. Now what happened, they came to me and I was in Kampala. And one of the people who came to me is actually a member of parliament. But I will not disclose that.
You don't have to.
By then he wasn't a member of parliament. So the person came and told me, you know, they want to give Meta that land. But what we want to do, we know your parents are also there, we can give you 1.5 billion. You relocate your parents, say that you leave us do that. I told them, you people, first of all, in that area, everybody is my parent. Because for us who are brought up well, every senior person, every person of your father's age, your mother's age, is automatically your parent. So I told them, no, that money can make my life change instantly. But I will not take that money. And I told my chairpersons in that area, in that parish and the sub-county, I told them, kindly make sure you don't sign any document. Whoever wants should come to me. Now, I did that without making an alarm, so that people could know what I was doing. But I'm telling you, people got to know the information that I saved the entire sub-county. And they were saying, that son of ours is now our hero. So they declared me a hero.
Okay, that's interesting perspective.
Yes, so,
yeah.
And for sure, Bwana Higenyi,
what you do out there can impact.
Yes, Bwana Higenyi, people look at money and material gains. But money and material gains may not necessarily make you leave a good legacy.
That is right.
Because people will know that you have betrayed them. So it's important that all of us actually shift from whatever we have been doing to do better for purposes of leaving a legacy, for purposes of saving our communities. And that is the call I'm making this morning as we commemorate this Heroes Day.
All right. Thank you very much, Henry Kitambula, Deputy RCC Jinja. Which division is that?
That is Southern Division.
Southern Division.
The main division, I'm inviting you to come and see Jinja.
I will come to Jinja one of these days and see what is going on. Just a reminder that national celebrations for Heroes Day are at Kasala Catholic Parish grounds in Butuntumula sub-county in Luero district. For those that are residents, I hope I've gotten the pronunciation of that place very, very well. On a personal level, you can be a hero. Please, if you have a car and you're heading to work in the morning and it is raining, and then you have your neighbor who is also heading to work, but he doesn't have a car, give that person a lift. You will be somebody's hero just on that day. The tendency to pass with your SUV and then a person you'll be meeting on the weekend in the community meeting is under the rain. There is absolutely no heroism there. So some of these acts must begin at the community level so that we can translate them into a national discourse. That will do it for this edition of Morning at NTV. It's been a pleasure having your company. And of course, we shall be looking forward to seeing you next week. Our reporter, Jackson Onyango, is on the ground, including a team that will ensure comprehensive coverage of the day's events, presided over, of course, by the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Robina Nabbanja, who has been delegated by the President of the Republic of Uganda. Do your job pretty well. One day, you could be delegated to do important work. I'm Chris Higenyi. Have yourselves a lovely day.